Welcome back, everybody. Getting started with some more oxygen not included today. We've done a little bit of progress since the last episode, but not very much. We have a new duplicant that we need to decide on and when we start out today. So let's get started with that. So this is an interesting choice. We have the option to bring in a new duplicant, or we can take 3 hatchling eggs. And since we're trying to get our hatchling population up, hatchling eggs might really be worth going for. But let's take a look at the duplicates just to see what we got. First one doesn't really have any negatives, but it doesn't really have any strengths that we super need either. The second one has a skill for art fundamentals, but we already have a duplicate that has masterworks, so we wouldn't need this. So we can skip that one. This one would be a pretty good option because it starts out with extra husbandry, so it would be nice for ranching. But we've already gotten a rancher started. I do really want to start getting the population up, but I don't want to go too fast because we're already struggling with almost no food. So I'm going to take the hatchling eggs for this round, and we'll add that to our incubators in the nursery to try to get our hatchling population in our stables up, because we definitely need to get to the point where we have some sustainable food. So let's go with that, and then we'll take a look around and see some of the things that we've done. We have quite a few jobs that we're still working on. Our should not be being wrangled. Our stables currently are up to 7 critters, which means we definitely need to get a second one built. Do we actually have 7 hatchlings in there? We have eggs in there, so we need to get that egg moved out of here. But we'll still need to get a second stable up and running fairly soon. So that is a high priority project we're working on. We're working on flushing out our water tank down here so that we can move all the water into it so we can expand a little more. We're also other projects that are a little low priority are getting the Great Hall finished and then just doing general expansions. And then up here is where we're slowly working out the incubators for our nursery. We'll do some automation here eventually and power them so that we can get these eggs incubating or lullabied so that they incubate faster and get our population going. But the first number one priority that we have is that we are currently sitting on 0 calories of food, and so we need to go and get some food from around the map before we do anything else. So first thing I want to do is I had this high priority, and I'm going to put it back down to 5. Let's set everything in the hatchery at 6 because I do want that to be done. This can be set to 7 because I want to make sure as soon as we have eggs they get put in there, and then everything else can stay at a 5. So the current only source of food we have other than waiting for the crops that we have around the map to grow are to find buried objects around the map that are hopefully muckroot. So we're going to go around and look for some of those and make those high priority digs to try to get some food that will just get us through this hump until we have a better food source. So I'm going to work on that, and then we'll come back once we have things a little more stable. Okay, we have found ourselves in a slightly less dire situation. Our food is starting to pile up just a little bit, though we're burning through it very quickly. I did change the priority on the outhouses up to 7 because if these outhouses get both out of order at the same time, then we will find ourselves in quite a poopy situation. I don't really want to deal with duplicates making messes all over the base, especially when I'm already struggling with food. So now this is set to priority 7. As soon as one of these go out of order, somebody will run down to clean it. I'm still working around grabbing food all over the base. And we have some more that we can get down here. It's going to take a little while to get there, though. We need to get... definitely need to get a sustainable food source going as soon as I possibly can. But it's going to take a little bit. Hopefully we can make it through without losing any duplicates before we get that done. Just a quick pop in to show that we got another colony achievement completed. Pay the bills is to use duplicate skill points to buy out an entire branch of the skill tree. And we got that because Sai is now Critter Rancher level 2. We're also going to give him a fancy new hat because of that. Just has a darker band on it. It's a little more fancy. But I wanted to make sure we got a chance for you to see with the achievements as we got them. We are reaching the point where we're running very low on food, and so these Sweetles are something that we've unlocked here. And rather than try to ranch them, I have decided we're going to kill them off because the meat from them will make 1,200 calories, which will help us get through at least a little longer. But we have a new blueprint to check out. Definitely not going to bring on another duplicate yet because we're still struggling with the food. I'll take the ice. It's not going to hurt. So, we did explore quite a bit. We've unlocked some of these spindly grub fruit plants, which are another form of food that we can currently use because we have access to them without farming because they're wild plants. I also set it up so that we are cooking them into roast grub fruit nuts. If you look at that recipe, it takes the 800 calories we get from them and turns them into 1,200 calories. Which is not a great amount, but every little bit counts right now. And so I set it up so that duplicates won't eat the raw version. They will only eat them once they're cooked. But that means I need to get people working on power because their priorities are a little screwed up at the moment. So we're getting there. We just need to keep chugging along so that we get more food, and we will hopefully make it through a few more cycles until we have some sustainable food. Got another colony achievement. It's not raw. It's to have a duplicate eat any cooked meal prepared at an electric grill or gas range. That was from when we took the grub fruit and cooked it. Somebody ate that up as quick as they could. So we got that achievement knocked out. We're expanding down farther to try to get some more food. And we're just slowly plugging away. Food situation has not gotten any better. We're struggling just to keep up with the calorie count that we need for our duplicates. If I play through again, I probably will slow down the number of duplicates I take in. But I have decided to try to keep up with the demand for calories to install a microbe musher. What microbe mushers do is they take dirt and water and turn it into mush bars. They're pretty terrible food source, but they are a food source nonetheless. So we're going to get that up and running and get some calories coming in so that we can focus on getting the hatchlings up and running, because we have more eggs than we can handle right now, and all of our duplicates are spending too much time exploring the map to try to find more food sources. So I'm going to get somebody set up working on the microbe musher, making us food, and we will hopefully get a little more sustainability going on and start working on expanding our hatches even faster. So I will be back once we have that all set up, and we'll go from there. Started to make a little gain on the food progress. We have now set up Tobinga as our dedicated operator, so she's always running the manual generator as much as possible to keep the power going. I added in Demon as a second cook currently because he is sets of research, but I'm not currently doing research, so he's helping out with the cooking process. Other people take on when they can because there's no other tasks assigned at the moment. So I'm just trying to get our calorie count up to a higher amount. But so basically, we have one cook who's always making mush bars. Mush bars have 800 calories. And then we have one cook who is always taking the mush bars and turning them into mush fry, which has 1,050 calories. So each duplicate needs 1,000 calories per cycle to make it through the day. So once we get to the point where we have 6,000 calories of mush fry stored up, we'll be a little bit safer. Then we just need to keep working on a gain. While we're doing that, we also got our second stable set up. So once these hatchling eggs start to hatch, we can fill up a second stable. Each hatch produces, when they die, they produce 3,200 calories of meat, which then gets cooked into 4,000 calories. Hatches do live to be pretty old. They live to be 100 cycles old. But so the idea for our purposes is that we want to get it to the point where we need, if we're going to live entirely off of barbecue from hatches, we need to be producing right now 6,000 calories of barbecue per cycle, which would be 1.5 hatches. Which means that in order to support these 6 duplicates, we would need to have, let me think, I'm trying to do math on while I'm playing, it's difficult. I'm not sure exactly how many, but we need to have a lot more hatches than we have right now. So we're going to keep trying to expand our stable count and our hatch count. The next thing I want to work on after we get our food a little more stable is adding in another power system so that we can power up the incubators so that we can get these eggs to hatch faster. Because currently, with their current incubation rate, it takes 20 cycles for each of these eggs to hatch. If we can get them lullabied, it cuts that down into 5 cycles. So we can fill up our stables much faster once we do that. But in order to do that, we need to get some automation stuff set up, which means we're going to have to do a little bit more research and get a little bit more refined metal made. So we have a ways to go for it, and we need to keep pressing along because we don't have a super amount of time to get to the point where we have meat coming in. Because if we look at our achievement, we need to get 100 or 400,000 calories before cycle 100, and currently, as far as meat goes, we've only eaten 4,000 calories, so we have quite a ways to go. We only have 77 cycles left to do it. It's doable, but it's going to take some work. We do, however, have 123,000 calories eaten before we have gotten to the point where we can do the locavore achievement. So once we get to 400,000 calories eaten total, we can add in some farming so that we can stop using the microbe musher to provide us with food, which will help immensely. We do have some more Sweetles up here. We could go up to get them to get some more meat. Also up here. But I think we just need to continue on with our current path, but not adding more tasks just to get us to be a little more sustainable. Red light, green light. Automate a building using sensors or switches from the automation tab in the build menu. What we're working on is the automation here to automate powering the incubators so that we can get these eggs hatched faster, because now we have almost 3 stables built, but we just need to get the hatchlings in there to populate them so that we can start getting some a regular source of barbecue in the colony. Uh, Food has become less of an issue. Still relying on making our own food out of dirt and water, but at least we're not having people starve, and we're slowly getting caught up on other things around the base. This is a bit of a mess right now because we were working on this stable and I accidentally let the water spill the wrong way. But it'll all work out in the end. Going to kill off some Sweetles, get some more food from there. Any meat we can get into the colony now will save us trouble later. But for now, we're just working on getting Demon Lord to finish up this research. He's almost done with it. I need the timer sensor, and then I also need a buffer gate and a filter gate so that I can wire this up. So the way this is going to work, I have it powered on a separate grid. It's not connected yet because I don't want it to be draining power yet, but I'm going to have a timer sensor connected that runs every 60 seconds, or sorry, 60 seconds out of every 600 seconds. And then that will trip a filter gate. Filter gate, when it receives that signal for 60 seconds, will start off the loop, and it will power the first incubator. That will go into a buffer gate that after it receives that signal for 60 seconds, it'll start the next one. And that'll cycle all the way down through. And it will make it so that each incubator is on for 60 seconds at a time, but only ever one at a time, no matter where it's at in the cycle. And once a day, the incubators will start up. And that way, all the eggs will be lullabied once a day, and we'll be able to get the maximum amount out of it while only using 240 power instead of having 8 of them running it constantly, which would require 1920 power, which we simply don't have right now. So we also don't want that much heat being pumped into our base when we have not a way to handle it, because each of these produce 4.5 kilo DTUs per second, and if we had all 8 of them running, we would very quickly overheat our base to the point where it would be unmanageable. So we'll keep working on getting the automation set up, and then my goal is to have by cycle 50 have at least these 3 stables completely stocked, and then I'm going to start working on getting 3 more put in. Once we have that, we will have plenty of egg and meat production so that we'll be able to get the food we need before cycle 100 to finish off the carnivore achievement. And then it's kind of smooth sailing. Everything else is just a matter of slowly getting it done. Oh, I have an emergency over here at the toilets. Looks like my priorities are screwed up so that nobody cleaned them, and I'm going to start having people making messes all over the place. So I'm going to increase the priority on those. Actually, I'm going to put them as a yellow alert, because I want them cleaned before somebody needs to use them. I saw a morb in there too. Must have been sitting for a while without getting cleaned. Morbs are... Come on. These morbs are critters that create a lot of polluted oxygen, so I'm just going to get rid of them as soon as possible. Alright, cool. So now we have a working toilet again. I'm going to set this back to level 8 just to end the yellow alert. Primus will finish up. Okay, good. So now both of our toilets are back in working order. Oh, we have another printable that we can get while we're here. Ooh, 8 Paku is very valuable. We're going to take that over any of the critters. We're not going to try to make them into a farm. We're just going to kill them off immediately. Add some much needed calories into our colony. Where are they going to drop off into? They're trying to get down here to the water. That's fine. They can sit in the water until somebody gets a chance to come down and kill them. Eat my algae. It's fine. Might get a couple eggs out of the process. You can also see that we're getting a backlog of hatchling eggs. Pretty decent amount of them. So once we get this up and running, we will be in much better shape. Get this timer sensor put in place. So all the wiring is in place, so all I got to do is get the research finished for the buffer and filter gates, which we're currently working on. And then once I have that, I can connect the power, and we'll set that up. So what we're going to do is have this set so that high threshold is 90, so it'll run. This manual generator will be enabled until we get up to 90% of the battery, and we'll have it kick on when it drops down to 5. Actually, I think I'm going to make that 25 to give its time to run there. Okay, so this sensor, this sends out a green signal for a certain amount of time and then a red signal for a certain amount of time. And so what I'm going to do is it's going to send out a 60-second signal, which is how much time I want each of these incubators to be powered. And I'm going to send that signal out once every 600 seconds, which means that once that signal's finished, it'll start a 600-second counter before it sends it again. And the reason I want it set up that way is because once the incubator or the egg has been lullabied, it will last for 600 seconds. And so regardless of what time of day this starts, I want it to go 600 seconds before it does it again. And so this will slowly skew what time of day it starts. So rather than using a cycle sensor, which starts at the same time of day every day, I'm going to use this sensor. And then I used to use a timer on every incubator, and then each of them I would just offset, but it was such a pain to make sure that they weren't overlapping so that I had too much power draw at once. With this setup I've done here, this one will not go on until this one goes off, and it will just go down the line. And the other advantage is that I could make this have more incubators up until, if I'm running 60 seconds for each incubator, I could have 10 of them total, and then it would automatically go back and the first one would start again. So it's a nice little setup I have. I think it works well. So we have just a little bit more research to do. So we'll let that go, and I will show it to you once we have it all finished. Actually, just noticed that the episode's getting a little long here. We're at 24 minutes, so I'm going to call this an episode, and we'll come back and finish up our incubators or in our nursery and our stables in the next episode, and hopefully have sustainable barbecue production by cycle 50, giving us enough time to get the carnivore achievement just in time, I think. So hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave some feedback and let me know what else we could do to improve it, and hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.